Nicosia, timeless hospitality.
Welcome to your future, like it or not. Dead End Drive-In.
Golden Harvest, who made Bruce Lee a box office smash, have joined with Australia's action specialists to produce a death-defying spectacle that staggers the senses. The Man from Hong Kong.
Grew up watching Australia.
Car chases on open highways without police permission, without anything. We just shot them.
And after the director set himself on fire, I thought, geez, if he's going to do it, I'll have to do it.
He what?
Whoa, that thing's getting awful close.
This movie fucking rocks.
Hello, Brian. Welcome to Inspire TV live talks of the Cyprus International Film Festival. We are very honored today. Our special guest is you, Brian Trenchard-Smith, director, writer, and producer. You are an acclaimed member of our jury this year for the first feature films. They compete 11 feature films of first shown filmmakers for the Golden Aphrodite Awards. And we are so proud that you are part of our team.
I am very proud to be part of this festival too. Thank you very much.
Brian, where are you calling from? Where are you now in the world?
I am in Oregon, in the hills above a little town called Scappoose, which is about an hour from Portland, the capital, state capital of Oregon. I live on 2.5 acres, surrounded entirely by 150-foot Douglas fir trees, and a flock of deer regularly pass through the property, and I feed them apples. I've forsaken city life for rural life with well water and growing our own vegetables, amongst other things. So we do buy them. We're 20 minutes from a supermarket and a 5-screen movie house, though we can't go to the movies anymore because of COVID. But I have a nice balance between living amongst nature and an internet life. I find that good. But right now, I'd love to be in the warmth of Cyprus.
Yes, we are in half of Cyprus in lockdown as well, but the city where the capital of Cyprus, where the festival takes place right now, we are allowed to have some public screenings with 50% capacity in the theaters, and the screenings already started now, and we are in Zoom with you. I would like to make a small introduction for you, for our audience. Your origin is from Australia and United Kingdom, I think. You are a television director, producer, and writer with a reputation of large-scale movies on small-scale budgets. And I was impressed about that. Quentin Tarantino referred to you in Entertainment Weekly as his favorite obscure director. how this happened. Tell us.
Well, many years ago, Quentin was an aspiring filmmaker and script writer, and like so many, thousands of others, sort of banging on the doors of Hollywood, but having to earn a living. He worked in a video store on the South Beach of Los Angeles, and a perfect place for someone like him, where he could basically watch movies all day, advise customers on which movies they should rent. This is back in the heyday of VHS. So he got to watch a lot of other filmmakers' work, and in particular, he noticed that a whole lot of these, sort of unusual Australian films were coming in, not having a cinema release in the US, but going direct to video. And he developed an affection for the sort of offbeat way of Australians doing genre. He took a particular shine to some of my films, The Man from Hong Kong, Dead End Drive-In, BMX Bandits, Frog Dreaming, and later, The Siege of Firebase Gloria. I think by that time he had left the video store and was beginning to earn a living as a screenwriter. Now, I didn't know any of this, though, one of my writing partners had shared an acting class with him and did know him. But when he made Kill Bill, he was shooting in Beijing, and he managed to get a print or certainly a DVD of Dead End Drive-In up to show to his crew and cast members in Beijing. And as a result of this, one of the crew contacted me, and then when Quentin returned to LA, he got in touch with me, so we got to know one another more as a result of that. And I have, he invited me to his house to look at his proposed cut of Inglourious Bastards with 4 other directors to get an opinion on whether he should include a scene or drop a scene. We all told him to include it, and he did. Harvey Weinstein had been telling him to drop it, but he wanted to get the opinion of other filmmakers. And so we all said, no, keep that scene, you need it. And so he did. So he developed an affection particularly for one of my films called Turkey Shoot, one of my more notorious films, which is a sort of a politically themed action horror film. So when we first met, he told me how much he liked that film and started to quote whole chunks of dialogue from one key scene, which he had somehow memorized. He has an incredible memory for all things cinema, and I really admire that. So it means a lot that he singled me out from thousands of others for
exactly
special praise. But he has many favorite directors, and I'm his favorite obscure director, and I think obscure is better than dead.
Absolutely. Are you still in contact with him?
From time to time. He's a very busy man, and he's overseas at the moment. He's got married, and he's had a baby in Israel, and that's where he is now.
He's in Israel. He's close.
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
I wish he was listening today,
Yeah,
but
good to
I think
know.
he has other things to do. No, we have met a number of times at the Masters of Horror annual dinners, where a whole group of directors who have made films in the horror genre that got noticed, we all gather and eat, drink, and are merry and swap war stories. And he generally comes to that, and we always chat then. But he has a very busy life, and I don't choose to intrude into it. I come when I'm invited. But he's always invited me to, the final cut before he delivers it of each film. and and I was very happy to.
Very interesting.
Yeah. And I think his last film, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, is his best film so far in many respects. It's certainly his most warm-hearted film.
So Brian, you worked a lot in television. You made several films as a director and producer. And recently, you made your autobiography. You made the adventures in the B-movie trade. So you wrote a book about all this. Would you like, we have a small trailer that we can share. Would you like to introduce? I think we can see the trailer and speak more about
yes, that would be great. Please, by all means, play the trailer.
Once in a generation comes a book that defines the art of cinema. This is not that book. Adventures in the B-movie trade.
Okay, what do we want?
The man we all want, mate.
Those days were amazing.
Adventures in the B-movie trade, a snapshot of an era.
Yeah. Are you, I think, would you like to tell us more about your favorite genres and what would you like to achieve through your work in film?
Yeah, well, I am drawn to, fast-paced stories in a variety of genres. I grew up in England, going to the movies, at least once a week, sometimes twice a week, I loved westerns, and in the '60s, I loved epics and gladiator movies, and I loved James Bond and the various European imitations of James Bond, every genre known to man. I particularly like science fiction. I liked hammer horrors. So I had a pretty, varied diet of genre. So as to what is my favorite, all my films are my children in a way. I have 2 sons, but I have 41 sort of celluloid sons. Which one is the favorite? So it's hard to tell sometimes, but I do like fast-paced action movies, whether they're in the martial arts genre or the James Bond genre. Everything that just keeps you on the edge of your seat, everything that gives the viewer an adrenaline rush, let's say. As I said in the trailer for my book, 50 years of laughs and gasps. I try to give the audience laughs and gasps. BMX Bandits, and Nicole Kidman's first film that got noticed, was designed entirely to give the audience gasps at the near misses in the stunt sequences and laughs at the various pratfalls where adults fell over and children laughed. So I was trying to give the audience of kids something that they would relate to. So I tried to study what the audience for this particular genre or the subset of this genre, what are they hoping for in the film? And then within the resources available to me, I try to give them as much of that as possible. In The Man from Hong Kong, which was my sort of James Bond, versus, well, it was originally written with Bruce Lee in mind, but he died, and Jimmy Wong Yu was the replacement Chinese star. That film was 106 minutes long. There was only 18 minutes of dialogue in it. Perhaps that's just as well, because I wrote the dialogue. But the rest was, highly visual, and it had a 9-minute chase and fight scene, for instance, that ranged across the streets after the assassination of the drug courier, a foot chase that then ended up in a crossing busy streets and into a restaurant kitchen and the public eating area. And 9 minutes later, the place was wrecked. But that was a sort of a breathless sequence that occurred, in the around 20 minutes into the film. And the audience at that, certainly in 1975, was thinking, wow, how do they top this? So eventually there was a sustained martial arts battle and also an 8-minute car chase. And finally, we blew up a building. So give them what they come to see this kind of film for. It was my motto.
I would like to say for some people who entered right now that we are in Inspire TV Live Talks with special guest Brian Trenchard-Smith. He's an Anglo-Australian film and acclaimed television director, producer, and writer. And I have a question for you right now, Brian. You are a writer, yeah, okay. But do you pick up stories from other scripts, from other people's scripts? Would you like to work with other scripts in order to produce something?
Yes, I don't always write my own scripts, and I've made 41 feature-length films for cinema, direct-to-video, and for television, and I've only written or had co-writing credits on 12 of them. I am uncredited as a rewriter on several more, really? So I pioneered some films, and other films I've been invited to direct. And being a director means that you direct aspects of the script as well as the production. So I would receive a script and say, yes, I'd like to do this film, but I suggest that we change this, this, and this, or we make that character female and not male, and we boost the female appeal of the film by having more female characters. And there'll be some slight adjustments to make as a result of that change, but it will only improve the film rather than harm it. So I make script development suggestions with the writer, and sometimes I'm just invited to come in as a co-writer. So as I like to make a film is that I need to see the scene in my own mind happening as if it was on the screen. Now, obviously my vision of that scene may well change in the course of rehearsing it and shooting it and then finally editing it. But initially I have a vision of the scene based upon what I think are the important elements that have to be emphasized in the scene, character, plot, or whatever, and particularly how I will stage that scene in the location that I've chosen. And the choice of locations can make a great difference to the look of the film. You want to give it a big look, try and choose big locations. That's not always easy on a low budget, but you'd be surprised at how well you can do by staging scenes with backgrounds of large-scale exteriors, and where there are crowds in the background that you haven't paid to assemble. So, there are tricks of the trade to make your film look big. But I'm very interested in giving a film as big a look as possible. Obviously, when if you're dealing with a claustrophobic subject, then you use other ways to be imaginative visually. But the choice of locations and their visual appeal is very important to me. And so once I've got the locations firmly in my mind, and I've got an architect's blueprint, so to speak, in my brain, and this is the direction in which I want to shoot this scene, and I want to have that as a background to that particular character. Maybe it's a female character, and then she can be backlit and she'll look particularly good in that kind of light. That means we need to shoot that scene at a certain time of the day, or certainly choose a day when there will be backlight in that direction. So I take into account all these factors when I'm setting out to shoot a scene, and to plan the movie. Because a lot of successful filmmaking depends upon thorough planning, so that you don't waste any time scratching your head thinking, what do we do next? Because time is money. And I'm sure it is just the same for European and Middle Eastern filmmakers, same all over the world. So you have that, if you shoot a 12-hour day, every minute of that day is golden. So every minute should be productive, and if you plan well, it can be.
Are there some writers that you like to work with them, or you have no problem to test and to see new writers?
I have no problem with new writers. I go, I judge on whether the script makes me want to turn to the next page, and there may be little, speed bumps along the way, but as long as the quality of the writing and the characterization and keeps me engaged, then I'm ready to embrace the writer, and if we come together, then we will we'll mutually agree such changes as are necessary. Occasionally I have had a writer who really didn't agree with my approach, and at that point the producer has said, well, you should take over the script, and that's generally been accommodated in an amicable fashion. I mean, one film I did, a disaster movie. The writer really didn't want to make any changes at all and was busy with other things. So I took it over and did a complete rewrite with my writing partner, which really I should answer the first half of your question is, I've been very fortunate for 25 years. I've been, working with, on certain projects, not all of them, with an actor-writer by the name of Dennis Pratt, who, if you know Hollywood history, you've heard of Boris Karloff, who played the Frankenstein monster. Well, Dennis Pratt is Boris Karloff's great nephew. Kind of looks like Boris Karloff. Anyway, he and I hooked up in the 90s and wrote a number of scripts together, and he wrote quite a few scripts of his own that were made. So he's someone that I'm very compatible with and have enjoyed working with. So he's the only person I have regularly, the only writer I have regularly partnered with on this or that project, or we've both come in together to fix a project without credit, and have been paid and moved on. So But I'm happy to work with any creative person who kind of likes my ideas.
Are there any, what are the channels in the United States, or maybe even out of United States, that you are looking for, searching for scripts? There are some forums, there are some platforms.
Well, I at the moment I don't search for scripts because scripts come to me. I mean, part of sort of maintaining a career is also having relationships with people who can raise money. And you can have a script, you can have an idea, you can have an ambition to make a film, but unless you can put the necessary funds together, it's just going to be a pleasant dream. So I found that there's really no point in pursuing the development of a script that you find on the internet, let's say, unless there is some serious interest in distribution from a sales agent, a distributor, or a producer who says, I've got a deal to deliver a couple of science fiction movies for a particular supplier, and so take a look at this script. What would you like to take this on for us? Because we can raise $1.5 million in various ways. So when that kind of path forward is offered, then that's worth putting your time in. Not all of these projects finally come to fruition, but most of them, given with the producers that I have worked with, when they come to me and said, I think I can get this going, are you interested? Then I sign on. And so I found that you can spend an awful lot of time going down blind alleys. So the sooner you can find out whether there's a serious interest, commercial interest in the film being made, whether it's an art house film, and it will have there's a distributor that can get his money back from effectively the worldwide art house market. And these films that are showing in your festival, I regard them as international art house films for the English language market. I mean, they may be commercial films in their own language in their own countries, but they have a particular appeal in English language countries, shown with subtitles, but to a more sophisticated audience that's prepared to embrace stories from foreign cultures. And that is something that I've always been, I've always loved films from other cultures because they give us such a different viewpoint. I was introduced very early to Japanese cinema, Seven Samurai, Rashomon, when I studied film at, well, I guess the high school level. I always liked French cinema. So, I have an eclectic taste as far as art house, but these all art house films, have to get funding from different cultural bodies to help them get made. I think you have a very commendable selection from across the world of films that have that appeal primarily to a sophisticated thinking person's audience.
Thank you very much. I like
that you
enjoyed our films, the selection. Thank you. I insist on the script because you are the right person to do these questions because of your experience and your deep your deep work in different genres and specific genres. Okay, you have a script, you read it, and you have an idea about the shooting and the feeling that you would like to express with this film. But the writer has another, as you told us already, maybe he has another idea about the genre of the film he would like to his script to be produced. There are some rules or some elements that you can identify in a script for a specific genre?
Well, I mean, when a writer and a director have, you know, significant disagreement upon how the story should be handled, well, I think one of them, one or the other has to take a back seat. I mean, supposing an Academy Award-winning screenwriter presents me with someone with a great track record, presents me with a script, and I honestly think it should be, you know, told from a different perspective, then I think really I have to defer to, let's say, let's say greater credentials in that regard, and probably I wouldn't be the right person to direct. Now, all filmmaking is the art of compromise. The auteur theory is all very well, but very few filmmakers can make the film exactly the way they want it. I mean, Stanley Kubrick did that. Certainly, you've no doubt heard of the stories of shooting The Shining, because he would sort of shoot a test version of each scene, then process it, look at the rushes, and then the next day he'd actually shoot the scene. And this meant for a very long shooting period. And sometimes he'd go back and shoot the scene again. And there's one scene in Full Metal Jacket. He gave up shooting it on one day because he couldn't get it right. He returned to it another day, and then he returned to it a third day to reshoot half of it. So some filmmakers have had that ability to keep sort of second guessing their work. But generally, there's got to be an agreement between the writer and the director as to what is, going to go, what is the direction that each scene in the script should go. I'll give you one other example. I was offered a horror film, and the producers, they thought that it would be best to make it really hard and harsh, and a really full-on horror film. I think that it would have been better to make it as a horror comedy, and ultimately my view prevailed, and there were still all the horror elements in it, but they weren't uncomfortable to watch. I think there's a place for really harsh, uncomfortable horror sequences, but I don't want to get into what is known as torture porn. I'm not a big fan of Hostel 2, for instance. Eli Roth will hate me for saying that, but I can't find watching extended period sequences of human agony entertaining. I think they can serve a good dramatic purpose sometimes, but you have to calibrate, very carefully the intensity of a scene to, what its effect on the audience will be, and whether they, as a result, reject the film or reject the ideas in the film because the filmmaker pushed sensational elements too far. Now, I didn't always think like this. When I was a 20-year-old, I wanted to push the boundaries as far as I could, because I thought that was, we needed to do that. We're coming out of an era of censorship, and we needed to, to throw off those shackles. As I've become older and I've seen the effect of violence and conflict across the world, I think we have to be a little careful about glorifying violence. And I am guilty in some of my earlier films of having portrayed violence in a way that seems to glorify it. But that's a debatable point.
Yeah.
I did a lot of comic strip violence in my earlier films. I regard The Man from Hong Kong, which ran into a few censorship problems in England, and a few moments were cut out in the UK, not in America, not in Australia, or in really any other country. It was mainly the UK, and I regarded that film as a sort of live-action Tom and Jerry cartoon. And if you look at classic cartoons, people are bashing each other over the head with hammers and anvils, and appalling acts of symbolic violence are taking place in the cartoon world. So I kind of pushed the violence in Man from Hong Kong to what I thought was a comedic level. And I stand by that decision. But I guess part of what I'm saying is that all filmmakers evolve over time, or they should, they need to, because art does evolve.
Yes, and you have the time in front of you also to make new movies in new genre to work on. Tell us a bit your experience with, this was a different genre, the film that you did with Nicole Kidman, and you won also the 𝘂𝘁𝗄𝗃 in Europe. It was a children film?
Yes, it was. I've made two award-winning, minor award-winning films for the children's market, Frog Dreaming, or otherwise known as The Quest, or in France, Le Secret du Lac, in England, The Go Kids, in America, The Quest, in Australia, Frog Dreaming. That film won second prize at the Montreal Children's Film Festival. But both of those were intended for the children's film market, and I chose to do them because they still fitted into my desire to give the audience laughs and gasps. But in this case, laughs and gasps that were suitable for children, whereas the laughs and gasps in Man from Hong Kong were really only suitable for the over 15s. But my approach with with BMX Bandits was to again identify what does the 8 to 15-year-old want from this film, and they want to see young people doing incredible tricks on their BMX bikes and defeating a gang of pretty incompetent crooks who are attempting to carry out a payroll robbery. So my approach was to keep it, have very bright and colorful costuming, settings, and photography. Luckily, I had a future Academy Award winner behind the camera, John Seal, so I was going to shoot it in scope because the locations I chose, the northern beaches of Sydney, Australia, lend themselves to that sort of widescreen approach. And I was going to do what I hadn't seen done in a bicycle movie. I was going to put cameras on the bikes. Now we've seen cameras on cars, mount shots, but could I do mount shots on a little BMX bike? And we found a way to get a 35mm ARRI 2C camera with a 50-foot load on it, and an equivalent counterweight to be on both sides of the wheel, so that the audience could be behind the pedal and looking forward through the front wheel as the bike sped forward. So I wanted to come up with things that that would be fresh for the audience, and I think you apply that to every genre of film. what area of freshness can we add to this particular genre, rather than just do it the way most people have seen it done before. So that's what I tried to do with BMX Bandits. And of course, I had the charm and the screen chemistry of 𝘂𝗫𝗄𝗯𝘀, who was 15 at the time, to work with. And that's another thing, when a director sees one of the cast has that unique quality of screen chemistry, you should go with it and maximize it as much as possible. So I tried to maximize the charm of my young kids and give the film as much sort of visual pizzazz as possible. So I don't know whether that really answers your question, but that's how I feel about BMX. And the fact is, it's still pleasing. Probably the age ceiling has shrunk slightly by now. I'd say it's up to 13. It is absolutely where boys and girls, and maybe the age ceiling drops a little lower. It's the graveyard scene, which is sort of a comedic spookery. It was scary to an 8-year-old in 1983. Now, maybe it's scary to a 6-year-old. And maybe the age ceiling is more like 13, but maybe girls, you see the sort of the empowerment factor in 𝘂𝗫𝗄𝗯𝘀's character. Maybe girls, right through their teens say, yeah, I was like that. I wanted, and so, that is good. But the film continues to draw an audience, and that's why it keeps getting re-released on DVD and Blu-ray ever since 1983. So have you seen that one?
No, not yet.
BMX Band? Oh, well. I wonder if I'm sure it was released. It was released in every country in the world. So I wonder whether it was ever dubbed into Greek, or whether it was no. It probably maybe it was a VHS with subtitles. It didn't have a great deal of dialogue in it. There is a 20-minute chase sequence in it, for instance, so it's a film. And that's one of the things I've tried to do, because my films are so sort of action-packed, is that well photographed action crosses all language barriers. A film, a good chase sequence plays just as well in China, in Sweden, and in Greece. So I mean, the cinema is an international language, and I enjoy manipulating it. I enjoy writing a book like Adventures in the B-Movie Trade with as much verbal wit and, let's say, ironic comment that will raise a smile. And in other words, I polish my wordsmith abilities as much as possible when I'm writing a book. This is my second book, and as I did when I wrote screenplays. And similarly, when working with the visual tools of the trade in making a film, I look to make it as visually pleasing as possible, because that's part of what cinema is. You want to keep their eyeballs on the screen.
Yes. Brian, you come often to Europe in festivals, I see, because of your film's participation. What about to come to Europe in order to produce a film? What do you think?
Hey, Petra, you got the money, I got the time. Yeah, I mean, I made a film in England, Britannic. It's about the sinking of Titanic's sister ship in 1916, which sank a few miles off the coast of Kea in the Aegean Sea in 1916. This was purportedly a British hospital ship. Was it carrying munitions or not? That was an accusation of the Germans. So I made this film about what happened on the Britannic, and shot it in England. Would love to have gone to the Mediterranean, though we did get footage from divers who went down in the Aegean Sea and did underwater footage of the sunken wreck. So whenever I've had an opportunity to shoot in other parts of the world, I have. Megiddo, Omega Code 2, I shot 3 weeks in Rome, a whole week of which was at Bracciano Castle, just outside of Rome. We shot in Israel and in Los Angeles. And I shot a lot of danger freaks in England, South Africa, and Hong Kong. So I enjoy shooting in other parts of the world. Now, I've yet to have a European producer saying, you know what, I would like to make a Brian Trenchard-Smith film in French or Greek or Turkish. And would you care to direct that? We can help you with the dialogue. We can help you understand what the dialogue means. And I would say yes, obviously, but the more likely choice if you're going to make a film in Greek is probably to choose a Greek director. Anyway, but I did study classical Greek for 8 years, and I have visited Athens very briefly in 1966 and again in 2006. I visited the pier, the wharf in Piraeus, where Melina Mercouri stripped off and dived into the water. I loved Never on a Sunday, and I then raised my cultural sites a little and went to the Parthenon, and so it was great to walk around places that I had read about in the ancient Greek, I guess if one of the films I've always wanted to make obviously was some aspect of the Odyssey. That would have been, which I read in the original, and that would really have given me great pleasure. But many other people have done that since. To answer your
maybe
question,
you transfer it to the present time.
yes, that could be interesting.
Yes, because
it would not,
to go back home.
Yes, for a man to take 10 years to go back home to visit his wife, yes, that would be hard on any man. And so certainly there is a modern version of the Odyssey that can be made. I mean, the Coen brothers were drawing upon the Odyssey for "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?" I think in their film they were. So there are a lot of symbolic references to the Odyssey in that film. But no, I would love to. I mean, I've always enjoyed working in foreign movie cultures. I made a film in the Philippines with almost entirely Philippine crew, except for our director our cameraman and our sound man. But in Hong Kong, when I shot the Hong Kong sequences for Man from Hong Kong, again, it was just me, my Australian cameraman, luckily, Russell Boyd, who also won an Academy Award later, and my continuity girl, and that was it. Otherwise, working with a crew that did not speak my language, and with interpreters, we, managed to, get everything that we wanted to get. Now I found that foreign crews are, just as skilled and just as dedicated to their craft as Hollywood crews.
Yes. You know, Brian, on Sunday, this Sunday, we have the awards for the films, the feature films, the short films, different genre, animation, documentaries also, but we have also a script contest. So would you like to announce that you are going to read the winner of the scripts?
Sure, I will be happy to read the winner. I mean, how many winners are there?
No, the first.
The first, okay. I'll be
Yeah.
happy to. Now, will it be in English or will it be
in
in
English? In English. No, it is
Okay.
English script competition.
Well, please send me a PDF and I will read it as soon as I can. I've got a few things on my plate. What time frame do you need an answer by?
If I send you, I can send you today because I just learned, I found out the winners. So maybe if you have some time and maybe you do a critique on Sunday about that, about the winner, what is the chances to find the producer, or I think it's an international project.
Okay, well, I will do that.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
thank you so much.
Yeah, I will give my view, and I'll try and get it done by Sunday. I've got a few things on my
wonderful.
plate. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Okay.
I thank you so much. I wanted to make you several questions, but the amazing with you is that you were answering before I even ask. As regards, I wanted to ask you about your experience in shooting in Hong Kong, in Philippines. So you told us already all these things.
Well, I have the powers of telepathy, you see, and I can read your mind.
Yes, yes. You know, this is how I feel in the festival with the jurors. You are first time here, you enjoyed the films. We have some permanent members in the jury. They participated somehow with their films in the past, like George Robertson. He's in our audience right now. And he's a producer also, and he won the Queer Leon 2 years ago with his film 𝘂𝗫𝗄𝗃. He shot this in Guatemala, and he's looking for a co-writer now for his new project. So George, do I say this everything correct? And 𝘂𝗶𝗫𝗀𝗃 from Indian, he's a producer. He participated with his film, but I like how they vote. I like the comments they do, and you liked as well. So I feel like we have some bonds. We are somehow connected. Yeah.
I'm certainly, I don't feel I'm really qualified to, to necessarily co-write with a significant European writer, but I am qualified to direct something that a European script or script from any part of the world, and even direct it in the language of its origin, because you develop a sixth sense for the truth of a performance. And once you understand what the dialogue means, whether it's in English or in a foreign language, you understand what it is, you understand the emotion that is running through the character at this time, then it's, I can tell whether the actor is reflecting the truth of that moment in the timbre of their voice, in the way they look, their body language. And also film is a collaborative medium, and you get the input of your key people around you. So I certainly would enjoy that, and possibly in Europe, my advanced age would not disqualify me. I'm after all, I am 104 in Hollywood years.
No, we need wisdom and experience from big auteurs like you.
You do get
in Europe. And now the governments do offers good motives for to bring international productions, co-productions. So let's work on that.
That would be good. Well, of course, I have a British passport, but with Britain bailing out of Brexit, of the European Union, that British passport doesn't entitle me to be eligible for work in Europe. Unfortunately, well, that's a great pity, because I'm a great believer in the common market. I think it was a good thing, and hopefully this sort of disease of populism will gradually, there'll be a vaccine for it as well as with COVID. The American public, I hope, will be allowed to make its voice heard as far as the dangers of populism, and hopefully the election result will be allowed to stand. Anyway, so
let's be positive. Let's be open to new collaborations between continents, not to focus in, to have
That's
open
right.
mind and horizons and visions. And thank you, Brian. Thank you so much being with us. The last 3 weeks also, watching the films of the festival. And thank you for judging and your time today, and the sharing of your wisdom. So I hope to meet together in person next year.
That would be nice. Well,
in Greece or Cyprus. Why not?
Hopefully there will be we will have defeated the COVID virus, and I will be able to visit film festivals, anywhere in the world. But I would love to come to Greece.
Yes, and Cyprus. Now, yes, now we are in Cyprus.
That's right. Yes, Cyprus has gone through many changes, but I hope one day that all of Cyprus will, all Cypriots will, be happy.
Be united.
Yes,
united.
Because I mean, I hope films, like the ones that you've been showing, show that the hope for the world is in collaboration, in cooperation, in mutual understanding, and not sticking with old hostilities. So that's what I hope for, having been on this earth for, well, a long time, but still having fun. That's the important thing, and still enjoying people. And so anyway, thank you for inviting me. I hope we meet in Nicosia someday in the future. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.